Since the dawn of man, we've been combining things with other things to make better things. Sand with fire to make glass. Chocolate and peanut butter to make awesome. And some God-given elements just go with everything. The latest such indie team to rub their chins and think that'll go with that is Mode 7 with their game Frozen Synapse, which is basically a combination of Counter-Strike and chess. Looking top down, you have to command a squad, a la CS or Rainbow Six, to kill all enemies and complete your objectives. You can tell units to duck, stand, move around, and aim in a certain direction. When your orders are in place, you can test them out with a handy play button. And once satisfied, the two turns play out simultaneously for a few seconds, and then you continue. You have to get in your opponent's head and counter what he's doing. But he might be in your head countering what you're doing. So maybe you have to go back to your first thing to counter that. Sound familiar?
Are you the sort of man who would put the poison into his own goblet or his enemy's? I'm not a great fool, so I can clearly not choose the wine in front of you. But you must have known I was not a great fool. You would have counted on it, so I can clearly not choose the wine in front of me.
There's your standard deathmatch mode, and a hostage mode similar to CS. The team rescuing hostages has to plan the entire escape path for the hostages, because once they leave their area, they can't be controlled, but they can be killed.
Unit down.
In secure mode, one team defends an area while another attacks it. The attacker wins if he can get a squad member in that zone and keep it alive for 3 seconds. The game decides who attacks and defends by a bidding process at the start of the game. You need to bid on territory you think you can defend, and the larger area wins the bid. Charge mode is similar. Players bid on how far they think they can get a squad member down the map. The highest bid is the attacker, and you win if you can get him over that line and live for 3 seconds. And lastly, there's disputed mode, where, after 5 turns, boxes start appearing on the map. The side who can claim the most of these boxes and escape wins. Each of these modes has a light and dark version, light being you can see everyone on the map, and dark meaning you can only see those you have line of sight to. In Frozen Synapse, turns are simultaneous. You put in your commands for a few seconds of game time, so does your opponent, and then the turn plays out. It's like those old play-by-email games, except this time around you're playing on the game server, and this allows you to have multiple games playing at once. Frozen Synapse will tell you when a game demands a turn of you. It also has some interesting effects on gameplay. Peeking around a corner right at the end of a turn allows just enough time for 1 bullet or so, but lets you see what's there. Then at the beginning of the next turn, you can retreat. Or if your elite soldiers fire a grenade at the start of the turn, there's nothing they can do about it. Whereas if the turn ends while the grenade is mid-flight, then the other player can see it and move his units out of the way. Except these elite soldiers are a few digits short of 1337. They don't exactly think for themselves. If they spot someone on the other side of the room, they might start shooting before they get to their cover. In cases like this, you need to channel that micromanaging pedant that lives inside all of us and manually tell units to ignore enemies until they've reached cover.
Hostile unit down.
This sort of thing also creates interesting tactics that would work in real life, like a decoy running past one opening while the real threat pops out of another opening for the kill. It takes timing, but there's nothing like when a good plan comes to fruition. And don't let the wild bullet animations fool you. There's no die rolls in deciding who wins a firefight. Frozen Synapse has a priority system of factors that decides this. First and foremost is cover, the light blue boxes and walls. If you're behind cover, you're obviously at an advantage.
Hostile unit neutralized.
Second is stillness. A unit on the move has worse aim than one who's still, which is why when our man comes around the corner here, he's got no chance. Importantly, in Frozen Synapse, there's no aim movement. Units can instantly fire at anything in their firing arc. But if you tell a unit to aim specifically at one enemy and all other factors are equal, your unit will win. It may seem like all these factors favor defense, and that's true. The defender has the advantage in straight-up rifle battles. But weapons like rocket launchers, grenade launchers, and shotguns change all that. Shotgunners have a very short range, but move fast, and can win most close-quarters battles even if the enemy is behind cover or still. In practice, if you can get one behind enemy lines, they're your clutch unit.
Hostile neutralized.
Grenade launchers can bounce their projectiles off walls, and therefore don't need line of sight to kill. Very handy, but cover does protect from grenades. What cover doesn't protect from is rockets. Rocket launchers, with their splash damage and ability to destroy walls, needless to say, are very powerful. It's great seeing how trends evolve around stuff like this, similar to StarCraft. And in Frozen Synapse, it's become popular to blast an enemy spawn with a rocket right at the start of the round. This means you've got to get out quick, and can't necessarily crawl from cover to cover like you might want to. From that point, the game becomes about taking advantage of these enemies scrambling away, and you can continue using that rocket launcher to scare them out of cover, like a dog flushing out a pheasant. Frozen Synapse has drawn a bit of criticism about its balance. With randomly generated levels and not necessarily even teams, you can get away with blaming the game for a loss.
Inconceivable!
The developers have stated repeatedly that they want the random teams to encourage changing tactics and the overcoming of challenges. That's the type of game they want to make. This may conflict with the competitive crowd that a game like this is sure to attract, but Frozen Synapse still demands some advanced techniques to win. You have to know exactly what the enemy is capable of. Can he be at this window in 2 turns' time? The game might depend on it. You also have to be able to organize a series of lines of sight to lock down a map, but while you're getting into those positions, and most importantly, you have to get in the mind of your opponent. And that brings us to endgame. Frozen Synapse does require some advanced skills to get good at the game, but it's not necessary. Even losing in this game is fun, and we were surprised at just how much time we spent browsing the replays and YouTube videos of those on the top of the ladders. They've made it very easy to share and like replays, although at the time of recording, the servers were struggling with the sheer amount of games. It's a shame Frozen Synapse had to come out at the same time as so many other big games, and E3, because this is one of those indie gems that deserves to be talked about, and deserves to be played. Until next time, Floppy fans, join us on our Facebook group, 5-Inch Floppy, hit that big old like button, and join us next week, where we'll continue to give you the extra inches and go deeper than any other review show. Junglist out.